Yes, well, Rob, I've got some good news for Manchester City fans. I think we can just pan over and have a look at the group that are training. And the good news is that if we can find them, John Stones and Bernardo Silva, two players who haven't featured in recent weeks and have been struggling with injury, are back out for the first part of this session. Stones has been missing for most of the season. Obviously, he's been every week at the press conference. He's one of the names that Guardiola's asked about, getting closer. Well, he's close enough to take a part now. And Bernardo Silva hasn't played since that last Champions League tie, the 3-1 win over Red Star at the Etihad on the 19th of September. Well, he is back out as well, so that is a real boost. And to have those two available, given that City have just been lacking midfield numbers just a little bit, let's not forget Kevin De Bruyne's absence still being felt by this team, and perhaps that has been a part of those last two disappointing results. Back-to-back defeats, Newcastle in the League Cup, a much changed team beaten at St James's Park, and then at the weekend a very disappointing 2-1 loss against Wolves, a team that City would have expected to beat, even though they have become something of a bogey team. So that's a boost. Whether they'll be fit enough to take part or indeed to start, we'll find out from Pep Guardiola a bit later on. But one player who can come back into contention is Rodri. He, of course, is serving that domestic ban that will keep him out again for that third match against Arsenal at the weekend. But he can crucially play in this game tomorrow. City have missed him so much, particularly in that control of the central midfield. They look so much more vulnerable. They're not able to move the ball and keep the ball in those tight areas, particularly without him in the team. He's such an amazing presence. Let's not forget his goal won them their first Champions League. He's a hugely important and popular figure here, so that will be a huge boost for Guardiola to know that he can pick him against RB Leipzig tomorrow.
Yeah. There is RB Leipzig and there is Rodri, but I guess they'll have a huge eye on the Premier League game against Arsenal on Sunday. So how much significant is that?
Yeah, I think, as with all these games, look, this competition is hugely important for Guardiola and City, and in most competitions, let's be honest, it's not often that you see a City side that isn't full of strength and hugely talented and quality players. But of course, even at this early stage in the season, you can't deny the importance of that game against Arsenal. Last year, you have to say, when City went to Arsenal and won, that was probably, looking back, the turning point in the title race. Arsenal had that fantastic first half of the season where they set the pace. City went there. Yes, they were inspired on the day by Kevin De Bruyne, who won't be available this weekend, but they went there. They really did lay down a marker that seemed to tip the balance in City's favour. They pulled the gap back at the top of the Premier League and ultimately went on to win yet another title. So there's no doubting the significance of that meeting. Guardiola has just been managing these fitness issues. He, as I say, he's been slightly short on numbers, but having Stones and Bernardo Silva back out here today will be a huge boost. And of course, he'll be hoping they come through tomorrow night unscathed. He'll be hoping he can make some changes, although their record, it has to be said, in Leipzig isn't fantastic. In Leipzig, they've drawn, as they did last year in the knockout stages, and lost. At the Etihad is where they've scored plenty of goals. They've won 7-0 and 6-3. So City's certainly the class act in that game tomorrow. And Guardiola will be hoping that the game goes to his plan and he can perhaps just save a few minutes in some of the legs, make some changes in that second half, and then it will be all eyes on that huge Super Sunday meeting against Arsenal this weekend.